Hello and welcome. Today we're talking about why dollar cost averaging is essential for crypto beginners. Let me start with a moment burned into my brain. It's 7:11 a.m., June 2022. I'm in a Dallas coffee line when my phone lights up. Sell it. All of it. I can't watch this anymore. Bitcoin had just fallen through another floor. The newsfeed was a bonfire. The text was from Jacob, a smart, steady HVAC business owner. 9 months earlier, in the euphoria of 2021, he'd started a crypto sleeve. He wanted a lump sum buy. I pushed for dollar cost averaging. He said, "I'll be fine." I said, "You won't be." Now the pain had arrived. "Call me after your first coffee," I texted back, pretending my stomach hadn't dropped. I'm a strategy and risk guy, CFA, 2 decades doing this, and I'd let the timing itch win the argument. That's on me. We got on the phone at 8:02. He wasn't angry, just tired. "I have a crew to pay. My wife keeps asking what our crypto plan is. I don't have a good answer." "We fix the process," I told him. "We don't double down on drama." He exhaled. "We're turning on dollar cost averaging today," I said. "Small, predictable buys. Rules, not vibes." He laughed. "I hate vibes." "So do I." Roll back to September 2021. If you were in the US, you remember the mood. Laser eyes on TV, group chats full of rockets, threads about never selling. Normal, responsible people built their first crypto positions in that environment. Jacob was one of them. This isn't just a crypto thing. Behavioral economics tells us euphoria is more dangerous than fear because FOMO lights up the same pathways as addiction. Your brain treats missing a gain like a loss. I met Jacob at a conference. Over a bad Caesar salad, he asked, "What's the smart way in?" "Dollar cost averaging," I said. "Automatic buys, fixed amount, weekly or biweekly. Cap the total allocation. Think in years. It reduces timing risk, neutralizes bad impulses, and turns an event into a process." He tilted his head. "What if it runs away while I drip in?" Fair question. In rising markets, lump sum often wins on expected return. But often isn't always, and crypto's volatility breaks resolve. The mathematically optimal strategy is useless if you can't stick to it. Most people can't when swings get violent. I suggested a compromise. 20% now. DCA the rest over a year. He went home, opened the account, and put almost all of it in on day one. He wanted to get it over with. 9 months later, the market had cut his lump sum in half. I see this pattern constantly. Smart people make emotional decisions with money. Vanguard looked at 58,000 retirement accounts and found that investors who made frequent changes during volatility underperformed by about 1.5% a year. Over 20 years, that gap is the difference between comfortable and compromised. That summer was chaos. Terra Luna imploded, lenders froze withdrawals. FTX hadn't fallen yet, but the smoke was visible. I was triaging 3 risks for clients: liquidity and custody. We moved to major US accessible platforms with clearer custody practices and set up hardware wallets above a small threshold. Crypto isn't FDIC insured. Where and how you hold it matters. After FTX collapsed, that prep mattered. Clients who followed custody protocols didn't lose a Satoshi. Behavioral risk. We blocked push notifications from trading apps. During volatile periods, clients were checking prices 47 minutes a day, 6 hours a week of anxiety. We cut it to under 10 minutes by turning off alerts and scheduling check-ins. Position sizing. We capped crypto at 5% of investable assets with a simple rebalancing trigger. If it drifted above 6% or below 4%, we rebalanced at quarter end. Boring and effective. But the heart of the fix was DCA. With Jacob, we set up $150 every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Why Friday? Routine. Why 10:30? It avoids some opening noise. Statistically, it barely matters. Psychologically, it matters a lot. What if it keeps falling? He asked. Then we keep buying smaller pieces at lower prices, I said. DCA doesn't make a bad asset good, it makes a good process durable. If your thesis changes or life needs cash, we stop. Discipline cuts both ways. I shared something unsexy. I ran a simple Monte Carlo using weekly crypto returns since 2015. Not to predict price, but to quantify regret. DCA tightened the dispersion versus a single random entry, especially the worst-case left tail. In plain English, it made bad timing less catastrophic. We don't need certainty. We need less fragility. To lock it in, we wrote a one-page investment policy for his personal account. Objective: long-term exposure to major crypto assets as a small, speculative sleeve. Allocation: max 5% of investable assets. Target: 4 to 5. Assets: mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum. Automate buys. Custody plan spelled out. Rebalancing rules documented. And a short list of conditions that would pause or exit the plan. Thesis changes, liquidity needs, or a major custody concern. That document did more than organize the account. It gave us a script when emotions tried to take the mic. Here's the takeaway, especially if you're new to crypto. Dollar cost averaging isn't about squeezing the last bit of return. It's about building a process you can live with. It lowers timing risk. It separates decisions from noise. It makes you show up the same way in euphoria and despair. That consistency is the real edge for individual investors. So how do you start? Here's a simple checklist. 1. Define your why. Is crypto a small speculative sleeve to learn and participate, or a get-rich-next-month plan? If it's the latter, DCA won't satisfy you. 2. Set the cap first. Pick a percentage of investable assets you can sleep with, 1 to 5% for beginners. Write it down. Don't add more just because prices move. 3. Choose your assets. Keep it simple. Bitcoin and Ethereum to start. Complexity isn't your friend on day 1. 4. Pick cadence and amount. Weekly or bi-weekly. The exact day and time don't matter much, but routine does. Automate it. If you stop, make it a documented decision, not a mood. 5. Handle custody like a grown-up. Use reputable platforms. Know the difference between holding on an exchange and self-custody with a hardware wallet. If you self-custody, practice with small amounts and back up your seed phrase properly. No screenshots, no cloud folders. 6. Add friction to impulsive actions. Turn off push notifications. Remove trading apps from your home screen. Schedule market check-ins, say Friday lunch for 10 minutes, and ignore the rest. 7. Predefine rebalance and stop conditions. Rebalance quarterly if your sleeve drifts outside your band. Pause or sell if your thesis changes, you need the cash, or custody concerns break your risk tolerance. Change the plan on paper first, then in the account. 8. Measure the right thing. Not whether you called the bottom, but whether you followed your process. Did you make your buys? Stick to allocation? Avoid panic moves? Process is the scoreboard. Back to Jacob. We turned on DCA that Monday. No hero trades, no bottom calls. Just $150 every Friday at 10:30. We tightened custody, killed notifications, wrote the rules. Over the next year, something subtle happened. His stress dropped first. His discipline came back next. Then the numbers improved. That's the order this usually goes in. Fix your behavior, then your process, then your performance. If you're a beginner, the most dangerous myth you'll hear is that timing is everything. It's not. Survival is everything. Longevity is everything. The strategy you'll actually follow in the worst week of the worst year is worth more than the strategy that looks optimal in a backtest but falls apart when your heart rate spikes. Dollar cost averaging is essential, not because it's clever, but because it's humble. It admits you don't know the future. respects your psychology, and builds a bridge across volatility you can actually walk. In a space where speculation gets the headlines, humility is a superpower. So if you've been frozen by noise, burned by a lump sum entry, or overwhelmed by contradictions, try this. Write a one-page plan, cap your allocation, automate your buys, and take your hands off the dopamine levers. Give yourself a year. I think you'll like who you are on the other side. Rules, not vibes. Small, predictable buys. And most of all, a process you can live with. That's how beginners become investors.